He was a photographer, a writer, a producer, and a director. But above all, he was an artist.
Stanley Kubrick did not always treat his actors well. He did not always make rational decisions. Some might argue that these idiosyncrasies made him great, some might not, but whether Kubrick's maddening attention to detail and bizarre directorial decisions were always to the benefit of his films or to their detriment, they definitely make for some interesting factoid.
Every phone conversation was just an inspiration for me personally. Stanley liked information. I supplied him with a lot of information. Sometimes information he asked me for, other information I volunteered. But in getting to know him, I understood what the dynamic of the relationship was. That Stanley would give me advice. He'd collaborate with me. I'd tell him a story I was interested in directing as a movie, and he'd ask me all the tough questions. What do you find interesting about that story? Why do you want to make that picture? Gee, that sounds kind of boring to me. How can you make that interesting? I mean, he was challenging me constantly. He gave me as much, if not more, than I feel I ever could possibly give him. First, he gave me all his movies, and then he gave me his friendship, which meant he gave me his time. And there's no greater gift a person can give to another person.
You know, and they see the way I manipulate finances, and they say, well, the guy's reckless. My feeling is that of course, I'm the only one in the film business who's not reckless. Because if you don't bet, you don't have a chance to win. And it seems to me so silly in life not to pursue the highest possible thing you can imagine, the biggest possible thing you can imagine, the best possible thing you can imagine, even if you run the risk of losing it all. Because if you don't pursue it, you've lost it anyway.
Nothing is so terrible as a pretentious movie. I mean, a movie that aspires for something really terrific and doesn't pull it off is shit, it's scum. And everyone will walk on it as such. And that's why poor filmmakers, in a way, that's their greatest horror, is to be pretentious. So here you are, on one hand, is trying to aspire to really do something. On the other hand, you're not allowed to be pretentious. And finally you say, fuck it. I don't care if I'm pretentious or not pretentious, or if I've done it or I haven't done it. All I know is that I am going to see this movie.
The Godfather casting, especially for the character of Vito Corleone, and the executive said, if you put Marlon Brando in The Godfather, it would do less business than if you put a totally nobody in it. The president of Paramount told me in these words, he says, Francis, as president of Paramount Pictures, I am telling you that Marlon Brando will not be in this movie. So I went to his office in New York, and I set up this tape in a conference room right outside where Mr. Bluthorn's office was, and I knocked on the door. Charlie Bluthorn comes out and he recognized me. Oh, Francis, what can I do? I said, well, look at this. And I turned on the tape recorder, and there is Marlon Brando with this long blonde hair rolling it up. And Charlie Bluthorn said, no, absolutely not. Marlon Brando, And as he watched and saw this transformation, he said, that's incredible, that's incredible. And as at that moment, I knew that I had Brando in the part.
You know, it was after I felt I was losing my way in Hollywood, and I needed to recharge myself and inject back the love of why I like cinema.
Trying to keep a freedom. And that means being open, but at the same time not to depend on anybody, not to depend on anybody's material, not to depend on anybody's humors about when to greenlight the movie. That is, I think that's something that is fundamental. Is just to do the movies that you want to do when you want to do this. I accept any harsh criticism from Alejandro or Guillermo just because I know that they're not trying to hurt me, or they are trying to actually help me.
The first reason you ever want to make a film is that the script is very good and the director is very good. I love the screenplay, and I think that Alfonso is one of the most talented directors in the game.
You know, Alfonso makes me better. It's as simple as that. He's a pain, he's impossible, he's rigorous, but everything, it's not random. It's for making something great. I want to be around that.
Alfonso called me years before this project was greenlit. and we started talking about the movie. And even then we talk about doing the movie a little bit the way a documentary filmmaker would do it and would approach a subject like this.
Truffaut rose to prominence as a key member of the French New Wave, an influential group of filmmakers who set out to revolutionize post-war cinema.
Naturellement, ils m'ont beaucoup parlé de la nouvelle vague puisqu'ils sont très intéressés par ce phénomène qui arrive chez eux avec un certain nombre de mois de retard sur la France. Mais il y a par exemple une rue à New York maintenant où on ne projette que des films français.
Ça les intéresse journalistiquement ou cinématographiquement?
Les deux, ils sont vraiment passionnés. Je veux dire qu'ils sont au courant même des films français encore inédits à Paris par exemple. Enfin, ils montrent une très grande curiosité pour tout ce qui est français maintenant et surtout du jeune cinéma.
Then he set about trying to find a child actor, talented and unspoilt enough to play the part of 12-year-old Antoine Douanel.
On n'a pas mis ton âge sur la lettre. Quel âge as-tu?
J'ai 14 ans.
T'as 14 ans?
Oui.
Ah bah c'est un peu vieux là pour les rôles principaux.
Oh oui, mais je suis pas très grand. Hein.
Ah bon? Tu parais 12 ans et demi, tu crois?
Bah je pense.
Et...
Puis vous aviez dit qu'il fallait un gars qui soit gouailleur. Et ben, bon,
c'est gouailleur?
Oui. C'est pour ça, parce que le gars penseur, moi...
François avait trouvé son alter ego, il lui ressemblait presque physiquement, quoi. À un moment, on ne savait plus qui était Léo, qui était Truffaut.
What appealed to him more was creating strong narratives out of the raw material of his own life. And right from the start of his career, this is exactly what he did. 5 of his best-loved films feature a character called Antoine Douanel, who is a thinly disguised version of Truffaut himself. Filmgoers around the world agreed with the verdict of the Cannes jurors, and Silken Skin duly became Truffaut's first and biggest flop. What those who criticise the film may not have realised, however, is just how personal and heartfelt it actually was.